Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions on a lovely sunny Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. BST. Today we're going to be carrying on our discussion on Q4, different lineup this time, but today's focus is around Amazon PPC. Lazar is back, Jelena is back, and Amina is here for the first time on Seller Sessions. Welcome to your debut. Do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Mina Elias. I am an Amazon seller. I sell supplements. So I didn't get in the Amazon game the same way a lot of people did, which is like find a product and stuff. I actually made the product. I thought I was going to sell it at the gyms and stuff like that. And then I was like, I need a better way to sell this stuff. And that's when I got onto Amazon, and then used PPC because, I didn't know any better. Didn't know any like search, find, buy, ranking strategies, none of that. Just used PPC to get my products to start selling better and better. And now they're doing pretty well on Amazon. I have multiple supplement brands, and, things are good.
Excellent. So do you have a chemistry background or anything like that? Yeah. So do you want to explain a little bit about that?
So my bachelor's is in chemical engineering and chemistry, and my master's is in industrial engineering. So I kind of, I was able to kind of leverage that to create my own products. And not that you really need it, but it does really help you understand when you're looking at the literature and how to come up with things or like formulations better than what's existing on the market. So that helped. And then the industrial part really helped with the logistics and manufacturing and getting things a lot leaner than most. So most people fully rely on like, hey, I'm just going to go to manufacturer. I'm going to, tell them I want this and they're going to make it. But I take a different approach, and it allows me to be a lot more flexible and start with less money and so on. And I also fight MMA. So that's why I created the supplements, so I can take them myself. When I like to help me in training and help me in my fight camps. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. And you're not cutting at the moment. You're not on trying to get on weight, are you?
No,
because it's brutal. Is it UFC? Yeah. It's brutal. It's worse than boxing in terms of making weight, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, well, you get 24 hours, so you can cut weight, and then you have 24 hours to fill back
replenish.
up. Yeah. Wrestling is the worst because you have to cut weight and then go at the same time.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, so going over to Lazar, a little bit of background on yourself.
Yeah, I'm Lazar. I'm a PPC specialist, owner of Seller's Alley, Amazon PPC dedicated agency based in Belgrade, Serbia, with a team of 20 people now and a physical office here.
Cool. Jelena?
Hi, I'm Jelena from Amazonia PPC, also an Amazon advertising agency, 5 years experience in business analytics and PPC background. I'm here to share some insights of what we've noticed during this past 6 months and some of the predictions we have for the next 6 months in Q4.
Excellent. Right, so we're going to kick it off. There's obviously a lot of stuff to cover. What we do is, instead of going through each of our notes, I'll kick off with the first one. We'll pick that apart, and then we'll move around the room. And just basically the idea is, whether you own an agency or you're doing this yourself, there are certain things that you need to do to get ready for Q4. One of those is what we're doing via the agency, is making sure all the margin spreadsheets are up to date. With the advent of COVID-19 and air freight going through the roof, is very important for target ACOS. Mina, what are you doing in terms of that? Have you seen a massive fluctuation in terms of your margins as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of the margins of my actual products, there hasn't been much, but I have seen the cost per click fluctuate like crazy throughout COVID, and for a while it dropped because people were like, we don't want to sell as much because what was going on, people were running out of stock, and then it skyrocketed, and then it came back down, and now it's kind of leveling off. So it has been fluctuating, and that does pose a challenge in terms of, should I keep increasing the bids? Should I lower the bids? What should I do? And the way I look at it is, in times like this, when people are shying away, is the best time to double down. And but I don't double down on everything. I really choose what I want to double down on to improve my rank, because when things come back, I want to be in that top position. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a little while in terms of timing of getting things ranked and when to do so. Jelena, what are you doing in terms of that? These are a lot of conversations you're having with your clients, and whether they're air freight is fluctuating up and down?
Some of them, yes, but the ones that aren't afraid to sacrifice one part of the profit margins and stocking throughout the year, they didn't suffer as much as the ones that wanted to have more of this just-in-time approach when it comes to inventory management. So those are two different scenarios you've seen with accounts. Yeah, a lot of them have been conditioned into accepting higher prices for air freights, and also the ones that were later to make deals with 3PL providers, whether that was in Europe or in the USA, ended up having to accept worse conditions just to get someone to partner up with them to deliver the goods in case that these delivery dates are postponed again, like they were during COVID. We also noticed that in a lot of categories, especially the ones that weren't super relevant during the lockdown period, cost per click really dropped. In other ones, it really increased. It's also leveling down in most of our accounts right now. So we're kind of like learning and setting up some systems to cope with this better in case that it repeats. So when it comes to profit margins, we don't have that much direct impact in how our clients are basically defining them, but we have some insights into what they're doing. So basically, a lot of them are ordering more stock simply because they are afraid of dealing with stockouts.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm going to say some hellos and then we'll pass the same question to Lazar. So, hello from Taiwan. Good afternoon, Danny and crew. Hello from Thailand. Sai B says, good afternoon. Hot, hot, hot. Here in sunny south of England. Selva's here from Singapore. Sharon Evans says hello. Marshall says yo, yo. Who else we got in the feed? Matthew's here. We've got Ramirez, Forehead. Gabrielle's here. Lawrence Barnes, how you doing, mate? Ricky's here. He's back again. Thomas is here. Evelyn is here. Big shout out to Evelyn. Hope you're well, brother. Dimitri's here. McCain. Sahal is here, Catherine's here, Randy, Anna, Jamie, all the way from Australia. Hope you guys are doing well. So Michelle here, Lazar, Stormtrooper Power. Then we've got Sahal, hello from sunny Yorkshire. And Jamie says, afternoon, guys. I think it'd be evening for you guys, wouldn't it? Over in Australia, you're about 11 hours in front. So always good to know that you're up late. So going over to you, Lazar, same thing. What are you finding with your clients in terms of margin fluctuation with air freight and stuff? You've been building that into that in the agency.
Yeah, it's always crazy when it comes to that, and like what we usually tell people when it comes to getting low on stock and when they want to like be sure that have enough products in stock, we usually tell them to get certain amount of products via airplanes, like to send it by plane, and the rest of them by ship. Obviously, by sending by plane usually drops your margins big time. And like in situations like with COVID, with some of the niches, or like for Q4, as we mentioned, like we can see that everybody is pushing more. So like one group of people is super scared about investing money, and like some niches are having drop in CPC. On the other hand, some other niches are having huge increase in CPC and overall in spend, which affects like your overall sales, and depending on the amount of product that you have in stock, it's like going in that direction. So basically what we usually recommend is always try to have your stock like as much as possible, and to bring something by plane.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jelena, do you want to pull something from your list? What do you want to make a suggestion for Q4, and then we can dissect that?
Yeah, aside from these standards, I mean, all these standard recommendations for Q4 obviously don't work anymore because we don't know what to expect. A lot of rumors have been out there that there's going to be a second wave. But one thing's for sure is that e-commerce has won over retail big time. A lot of people have been used to the lockdown lifestyle, and it's going to become a different way of functioning for a lot of people, for at least for the next couple of years, hopefully until we get over this as a civilization. So more and more orders are going to be made online rather than live. So that's for sure. We know that this Q4 is going to be bigger than the rest of them as long as economies stay stable as much as they can. We've seen a lot of scary things, and then we've seen these checks coming, the ones that were for the relief checks that were $1,200 in USA. So we've seen like a mini Q4 after the lockdown.
There was a little bump, wasn't there? There was a bump when the checks were landing and people were spending them, yeah. Or so we think it was related to that, yeah.
Yeah, we sensed it for sure. It had something to do with it, and then that helped up with the spending a little bit more. But we don't know if this whole unemployment rate in the USA, for example, is going to stay the same. So those are all the things that could affect the spending. So if things stay more or less the same in terms of overall economy and spending and buyer behavior, then we can recommend various things, what you could do with your advertising. But still, there are some baseline things that sellers should stick to, just to ensure stability for their business in Q4, like they would do in any other quarter, which is, first of all, stay up to date with market insights. Like we've been lately really hung up on Nozzle Insights, on Glimpse, and all these other websites that give us more insights in how the market pulse is actually reacting to all of this that's been going on in each of the specific countries where our clients sell. So that's one of the things you could do. Also, one of the things to prepare also logistically, make sure be ready to kind of like give up one part of the profit margin just to avoid stockouts, and then also prepare your listings for all these things, just like general preparation, optimization of your listings with keywords, alt text, adding videos is pretty big for 2020, especially because Amazon also wants us to kind of like build the branded presence on their own platform, through storefronts, through A+ content, all these branded elements that they're giving to sellers. And video is one of the biggest changes that want us to move into. So invest in your product video before Q4. And one of the newest things that I've heard some of the colleagues talk about is Amazon posts. This has been present on Amazon for a while, and some of our
in
clients,
beta, wasn't it?
I'm sorry?
In beta. The post, Amazon post in beta. Yeah.
It's not in beta.
No, it was recently. It's coming out. Yeah.
What they did is changed the advertising platform so that it looks like more like a manageable, like if you know what it looks like on Google, where you have a My Client Center, you could like link accounts to it and just manage them as a manager. That's the same thing that they did on Amazon. But one of the newest things is that they have added Amazon posts, which have been there for a while, but haven't been there linked to the advertising console, which is something new. I think that the reason why they've added it here is that they're going to make it paid at some point. It's going to be a paid tool, like you have boosted posts on Facebook. So you write a piece of content and then you boost it to audience. Who is it going to be available for? Not really sure. Probably, for a certain amount of sellers that invest more than, like, for example, like DSP is available only for the ones that spend more than $35,000. So they're going to make it available to sellers to boost these posts, and then possibly choose audiences who will see this. So one of the ways how you can prepare for free, it doesn't have to cost you anything aside from your labor, from your working time, to start posting these posts and see how your audience reacts to it. There's some kind of rudimentary analytics to it, but I suppose that they're going to evolve this with time. It's quite interesting, actually, to me.
Sounds good. Mina, do you want to go from your hit list? Do you want to cover some stuff?
So I think winning in Q4 fully depends on Q3. It doesn't depend on Q4. And the prep is done in Q3. So the pattern I see is you have all these big agencies. Like I'm talking like the massive Nike, Under Armour sized agencies. And, those people, they have a strategy. They know that they win in Q4 very, very big. So they have email campaigns, Facebook campaigns, Instagram campaigns. They have a ton of campaigns fully driving a lot of sales, and they're ready to spend, up to like a third or even half of their, annual spend just in Q4, because they know that with Thanksgiving, with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all this stuff, they make a lot of money. So waiting until Q4 to win placements or anything like that will result in you losing your shirt in terms of PPC spend. And I've seen that happen multiple times. And so in Q3, the first thing you have to really look at your conversion rate, your unit session percentages for all your products. Those really need to be on point by the end of Q3, because that's gonna, if they're not high, it's gonna significantly harm you, because every dollar spent is not gonna make as much in terms of sales. And then you also have to, with what's going on right now, I believe that everything is very dependent on the media. We know if we look at the cases and the deaths and things like that, like there's really not much change. But whatever the media comes out with, whatever the governors, I'm talking from a U.S. standpoint, whatever the government or whatever comes out with says, okay, this is going to be the new normal. There's always a fluctuation, and with Amazon, we've seen that with the delayed, all the delayed like orders, the delaying in checking in inventory and things like that. So in Q3, I would make sure that I have my entire inventory for Q4 in Q3, and then I would make sure my unit session percentages are as optimized as possible. Jelena said you can do a lot of things in terms of like EBC and things like that. Make sure you have all that covered, and then make sure that you're ranking. So by the end of Q3, once you hit Q4, your ranking is there. You're gonna take a big hit in ranking, because like I said, there's massive agencies. They're gonna spend the bulk of their spend in Q4, because historically, when you look at sales, a lot of it is made in Q4. And I'm talking about general items, not seasonal. Seasonal is a completely different. You have to treat it as a seasonal item. But for general products, that's how I would prepare: is have the stock in place, have spend more now, and it'll save you a lot more money in Q4, because trying to compete in Q4 to raise your rank is going to be 10 times harder than raising your rank now. But maintaining your rank in Q4 is going to be a lot easier than trying to raise it. So
yeah,
that's the way I would handle it. And especially with not knowing what's going to happen with the social media might blow up one day and say, we're all going into lockdown again, this, that. Have your stock covered, and you'll be, again, it'll be like a repeat of everyone who had plenty of stock back in March when this whole thing started.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I on my list here is like head start on ranking start now, as it'll be a lot cheaper than once you hit Q4, because a lot of people it depends on the product, they'll drop their bids over this period. So it gives you an ideal opportunity if you're using PPC to try and rank with. The other thing quickly before we bring over into Lazar is that being that you're doing supplements, quite often especially weight loss, is normally Q1, less so Q4, isn't it? So you have to bear that in mind as well. There are certain like seasonal areas, like especially weight loss. Q1 is a big time, not necessarily Q4. So you have to adjust for those means. Lazar, on your list, hit me.
Yeah, well, basically when it comes to all of that regarding Q4, people need to know that they're not the only ones that are selling those products, and like they're in the same bucket like the rest of the sellers. So all of the guys need to compete with each other, and like apart from big brands, there is a whole bunch of smaller sellers that are focusing on a whole bunch of different stuff, and Amazon is not making it easier with whole bunch of new stuff that they're introducing. As Jelena mentioned, sponsor posts, we made whole bunch of them recently, and like in recent times, and it's so good that it's so strange that it's free at this point. And when it comes to other stuff like custom images, videos are huge, insanely big. So like sponsor display with product targeting, whole bunch of different stuff. So people need to be absolutely sure that they covered everything when it comes to campaigns, and they need to be absolutely sure that they know what they're looking when it comes to their data. It's not about like increasing sales or decreasing spend. Like big numbers are you can get only to them if you work on your smaller numbers. So try to increase your average order value, try to increase your conversion rate or click-through rate. So all of those smaller numbers, when they are combined, like if they're increased for 1%, your overall numbers are going to skyrocket. So with just like creating more ads that are going to cross-target your products or going to target competing products and try to steal sales from them, are going to affect your overall numbers. And also one of the things that I always like to mention is that people usually forget about moving the parameters and bits and budgets after big dates, like after Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Like there is that halo effect that is going to stay for a couple of more days after those big dates. So like nobody wants to buy anything before those dates, so they're waiting for good deals and stuff that are going to happen during that period, and they're going to buy stuff no matter what's the price, because it's in the mindset of people to buy during that period, that's the best deal that you can get during the year. So you can easily like be a scumbag and increase your price a bit if you wish, and you're still going to sell your products. And after that, you have like a couple of days you're going to have halo effect, and after that halo effect, people usually forget to decrease their bits, or they need to double check everything, because that's really stressful period of time with 72-hour discrepancy on Amazon, and you're not able to see all of the sales, and you just see your spend, and it's like super stressful for everybody, and I'm fully aware of that. So you need to know your numbers and make sure that you know what you're doing. So make sure that you take care of your data and like increase everything just a bit so you can increase your bigger picture.
Cool. I'm just going to say some more hellos. Chen's here, Chrissy's here, Cindy, Carlos, Augustus has joined, Louise has sing, Argo's here as well. He's saying hello from Estonia. Tiff's here as well. Good morning, guys and lady. And Sharon says, got to love posts. I have amazing engagement there. Just pull it off of my list again. Going back to elongate on the top, what you're saying there is compressed Q4, delayed reaction due to Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Last 2 years, we've seen that. We may not see that again because of COVID. We might get a rebound, which would affect that or may not affect that. But I'm imagining the previous 2 years, people are still going to sit on their cash, are still going to click on your ads. Your click-through rates is going to be off. Your conversion rates are going to be off. But the idea is not to panic and expect that compression window, I would say. Anyone agree, disagree there?
Definitely agree.
Yeah. Jelena, what's on your list? Anything else there you want to add?
Yes. Well, if we're talking about some standard marketplace pulse like we had previous years, let's assume that nothing happens and we're past this is behind us, then definitely leverage all these new options that you have available for advertising, not just in terms of worrying about rank. Of course, like Mina said, you should prepare before Q4. Q4 winners are only the ones that really work hard during the first 3 periods in the year, simply because you can double down then on your strengths, and it's not a good time to launch your new products during Q4, or fight for ranking then, because there's a massive surge in traffic, and you should just make sure you gain enough traction for your own listings during that momentum. There are different ways how you can do that depending on what your account goals are. If your main goal is profitability, then basically, there's still enough room for sponsor brands with some simple custom-made imagery to win with good profitability with these ads. You don't have to have any kind of like professionally made videos. Just do them, because not everyone is doing them. Right now, there's this good momentum in terms of not all sellers are doing videos right now. So if you do like even a shitty video, it's going to work better than just images. Later on, possibly next year, there's going to be some kind of refinement period where all these professional videos are going to win the shitty ones. So that's the kind of natural progress how things are going to work. But right now, there's still enough room to just do any kind of regular video and post it. Also play around with custom images. Sponsor brands are the kind of ads where you have maximum flexibility and control over your own targeting, but at the same time, maximum freedom over the ad creatives that you will serve to the audiences. So that's where I would focus my attention on. And also sponsored display product targeting, if you're willing to go a little more aggressive into market share, win more market share from your competitors. Sponsored display product targeting is still pretty cheap. It's something to explore and see how it works for your own products. Of course, if you have a competitive advantage with your products compared to your competitors, and you know what these advantages are, and you're willing to do very refined ASIN level targeting, then product targeting sponsored display is something to try out. We've seen above the, I think it was below the search bar, I think it appeared yesterday, some new ad formats for sponsored display that are really beautiful, out of the box. They're not just like, below someone's bullet points or the buy box. They're getting more and more creative. I guess that they're running out of placements for these sponsored display, or maybe they're doing some kind of beta testing to see what works best. So sponsored display, definitely, it's easy to set up. The hardest one is sponsored brands, but then again, it's the one that reaps the most benefit. So that's what I would focus on. Also, for all these traffic surges, ups and downs, all these things that happened not only during Q4, but also during COVID-19 that have happened, and changes in CPCs in various categories and all these things, it might be worthwhile to consider using some kind of bid management tool that can do this in real time, or at least every hour, just for bid management purposes, to make sure you're always on top of the search results page, for at least for your main keywords. It would make sense to do that, and then focus on the things that you really need to focus your manual work on, which is ad creatives for sponsor brands. So and also one thing that I also wanted to mention, what we used to do back a couple of years ago at Google as well, with PPC, is prepare holiday specific campaigns. If you have some kind of budget set aside just for testing purposes, for growing your account, it might make sense to try holiday specific campaigns. There are couple of holidays that are very specific. I've written them down: Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Singles Day, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, New Year, Hanukkah, even Boxing Day, and all these things. So people are searching for Boxing Day gifts or looking for Singles Day gifts. We recently had that's not the Q4 holiday, but anyways, keyword specific to holidays that you're targeting, and then also the ad creatives through sponsor brands that are consistent to that, and then landing pages with the specific offer on your listing, whether that would be through coupons or maybe promotions or something like that, would drive sales. And it would make sense only if you're working on winning new to brand purchases. If you have a brand like Mina has, where you have like subscribe and save eligibility or repeat purchases as part of your business model, then yeah, for sure, make sure you run holiday specific ads to win that market share that you lost. So yeah, basically during COVID, I can't help but reflect, because it was just so recently it happened. It's hard to look into the future. Yeah. But during COVID, the reason why some of the CPCs were cheaper is because all these smaller players just backed out of PPC, and there was less leftover space for people who weren't afraid to double down. It also would make sense to do that if you have a brand that relies on repeat purchases and generally speaking customer loyalty. So
yeah, cool. Lazar, you got to follow that.
Yeah, like Jelena literally covered everything.
You just dropped a load of science on
like,
you step in. Yeah, I'll leave that one with you. I'm off. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good. Go on.
Yes, so as Jelena mentioned, so many things to cover, and also there are some changes that happened recently when it comes to sponsor brands, like when it comes to creative, so you can edit them, and also you're not able to use your product image as a main image anymore, so you need to use logos, and which is pretty fine. And also on the other hand, it's super important to be sure that your sponsor brand ads are running when it comes to having all of the ASINs there, because now they can just promote your logo basically and work on your brand awareness, which is good, but basically it's not the main thing that you want to focus on. Probably with your campaign, you would probably want to sell more than just to focus on brand awareness. And also when it comes to other activities apart from directly PPC on Amazon, you would like to focus on other stuff that are going to drive traffic to Amazon as well. And also because of free marketing and everything, you can on Amazon as well, just not only on Facebook or on Google. It's important to drive external traffic before all of that time comes. So yeah.
Cool. Mina, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I love how Jelena covered managing your bids because of the fluctuation. So that's something I really wanted to touch up on, because bids are fluctuating like crazy. And it used to be that you can go in, obviously it all depends on your monthly spend, but it used to be that you could go in and adjust the bids like once a week or something like that. But now it's not the case anymore. It's just that there's a lot of fluctuation going on, so you really have to be on top of it. But there is also, I know you mentioned using a bid management tool. There is also like about a 7-day delay where like attribution is, I mean, I've seen like some case studies where, attribution has gone over 100%. So it started off saying, let's say like $30 and then ends up being $60. So there is a 7-day delay, which kind of makes it a little bit hard to work with, but it doesn't stop you from having to adjust your bids a lot, because with the fluctuation in cost per click, with the fluctuation in number of people on Amazon on and off and all that kind of stuff, you really have to be on top of all of your metrics, and it can't be a set it and forget it. And now the second thing I want to touch on, and is a very, very big thing that I've seen in Q4 that has personally hurt me when I didn't pay attention enough to it, was the top of the search. So it's very important to understand where you are if you're showing up in the top of search, rest of the search, or in the display, inside the product detail page, because there's a ton of window shoppers coming online on Amazon during Q4, and that's really where I lost the most money in the past. Is there's so many new people coming in and they're just clicking the first. They don't understand sponsored, not sponsored. They open up, they search a keyword, they click. You spend that money and they have no intent to buy it. It's shopping season, so there's a lot of window shoppers. The same way you see the malls.
So you're saying being number one isn't necessary, basically.
It's and it can be not the best strategy in Q4. It depends on what you are. If you're selling things like, let's say you're selling a food scale, then okay, that's fine. Someone who types in food scale, they're not like shopping for holidays, but anything that has some sort of like variability in it, where supplements is a huge one, because you can try a different supplement every single time for the same purpose. So for me, I've seen with things like that where there is a selection, anything that has looks involved in it, same thing, anything with flavor. It's better to not be top of the search, especially in Q4, because there will be a lot of window shoppers, a lot of clickers and not buy. If you're maybe at the middle or the bottom of page one, you're going to find a lot better results. So it's very important to watch that metric. And when the time comes, it's like, okay, I'm going to downbid, because you could have like a $2 bid putting you at the top of the search, and then maybe $1.50 puts you at the bottom of page one, but you're more profitable. So that's just something that I really wanted to bring to people's attention. And then the final thing I would say is a lot of people neglect in general complementary categories. So I don't see a lot of people like, for example, let's say you're buying shoes. I don't see a lot of people advertising socks or shoe polish or things like that under the exact keywords like shoes, or in the product detail pages of shoes, because they think it's not relevant. Someone's buying this, they're not going to buy that. But you also forget that you're also driving a lot of impressions. The people are seeing your product multiple times. It might not have an immediate effect where someone's buying a shoe and they also do add to cart to the polish, but the next time that they want to buy a polish, they'll remember you. We know based on psychology that if people see you enough times, you become familiar and they think that you're legitimate. So that's another big one that I've seen a lot of success at is in complementary categories, I'll have a much lower cost per click, much higher impressions. So I'm basically getting advertising without spending the money. And then, in the future, if someone who's been shopping for these other things comes to shop for the thing that I'm selling, they already remember me. They've seen me multiple times. I'm a lot more likely to win the sale than my competitors who haven't been doing that.
Cool. Jelena, have you got anything left in the cannon you want to hand over?
Well, basically just stick to all these things that really make sense in standard economy rules. Prepare your listings. Make sure that you save enough budget aside for Q4 specifically. Make sure you have some FBM options in case that something happens and FBA is no longer able to deliver the goods fast enough. Then also make sure your listings are Prime eligible, however you can. Make sure that you follow industry insights. I think that there is a high likelihood of changed taste and purchasing behavior. So there are wonderful tools like insightsnozzle.ai or glimpse.com that offer post-COVID insights of what's been going on and how the purchasing behavior has changed. Also, if you have products that are not so hot in this lockdown economy, like baggage, luggage accessories,
travel items,
travel items, for example, think of the ways how you could possibly repurpose your products to make sure they serve a purpose, just a different purpose. And also in your product research, just try to focus more on, for launching new products that could be either used outdoors and indoors as well, that have a versatile nature to them. So it's not like a specific PPC advice, it's just all the things that affect PPC if you do them wrong. So make sure you stick to these basics, do them right, and then PPC shouldn't be that difficult, basically.
Cool. Lazar, do you want to quickly, I'm going to go back through my list again as well, just as a top down, so if people want to jot down. So on my list is margin spreadsheets. Make sure that you've got all your landed costs, everything is measured off, and look historically over your last turn of inventories, because it's going to be very important with your target ACOS. You want to make sure you're on point for that, or you're going to have a crippling Q4 if you're not careful. You don't know your numbers. Raising bids, not always the answer. Another thing that we didn't bring up here is that whilst everyone raising bids, you maintain yours. They run out of budget later on the day. You grab the sales while they're actually burning through their budget earlier on in the day. Still a risk, doesn't guarantee anything, but it's something to take on board. Compressed Q4, as we've seen the last couple of years, delayed reaction to Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So, you might not really start to see a pickup until November, but you start panicking because your click-through rates are high in October, but your conversion rates are low. So again, don't panic at the beginning of the Q4. Look at what everyone else is doing and reflect on that, and look at last year's numbers as well. Build in the idea that there could be a second wave in terms of COVID. So you might get an increase of sales volume as well with people being home. So you need to make sure you set up with inventory correctly, whether that's just in time from your 3PL or you're sending into Amazon beforehand, but obviously to be aware to accommodate for the increase in fees in that period. And then head start on ranking, start now, generally be a lot cheaper. Obviously, there's people who are cutting their bids and stuff in this time. If you're using PPC to help rank organically, that could be a good opportunity to start that now. And then you go into maintenance and raise once you get into October and November time. Lazar, on your list.
Cool. Yeah. Apart from all that you guys mentioned, it's super important to have in mind that it's not always about CPC and the bids. It's important what triggers those keywords. So make sure that you're checking your reports, that your search term report is fully covered. So when something is irrelevant for your product, negate it there. If something is highly relevant but it's not profitable or like not making any sales, take it out from there. If it's triggered by phrase or broad match type, and take it out. Create separate campaign if it's needed for highly relevant but not profitable keywords. And on the other hand, like, don't mix your match types all together in one ad group, because you're not going to be able to negate keywords and you're not going to be able to optimize your spend. Basically, make sure that all of your campaigns are super clean and tidy before you start with Q4, and like that you covered all of the campaign types. Also, it's really important to be sure that you covered everything when it comes to your defenses. So make sure that you cross-target your ASINs and to protect your product listings, so no other guys show up that much on your product listings. In the same manner, do the same thing to your competitors, especially for the keywords that you don't have money to show up on like search result page. So try to target those ASINs and try to show up on them as much as possible. And when it comes to category targeting, refine your categories. Don't like just place the category and that's it. Try to filter out by brands, filter out by pricing. Make sure that your pricing that you're targeting is similar to your pricing, or if you want to target some more expensive guys, try to separate them from the ones that are in the same pricing range as you are. So the same thing goes with star ratings. So it's important to be sure that you split them a bit, so you can find some easy wins, not a lot of them, but those are going to be super easy for like lower star rating. And also, like as Mina mentioned, try to do some cross-selling and upselling. So when you're selling some products that are compatible with some other products or some other categories, try to target those ASINs and those categories as well, and make sure that you don't run off the budget.
Cool. Mina, do you want to have final words here?
Yeah, final words. I like that Lazar mentioned looking into your search term reports. In Q4, it's definitely a lot easier to go for the lower search volume keywords. So going for 1,000 lower search volume keywords as opposed to going for 10 of the very high search volume keywords. Everyone's competing on that one. Everyone knows that those are the ones that drive the most traffic. So definitely go for that. And one other thing that people don't do a lot of is target new arrivals. So go and find your most relevant keywords, search, and then you can sort in the Amazon search by newest arrivals, and then target those people, because they're in the honeymoon period. That they're probably running auto campaigns, and Amazon is giving them a chance to show up. They don't have any history. So during that period, you can piggyback off of their traffic, and it's going to be very easy with for you to win sales off of people that don't have any reviews. It's obviously not the nicest thing to them, but someone's going to show up under the listing, so it might as well be you. And you show up, you have a lot more reviews than someone who just started. And they're all running auto campaigns. They probably don't know. It depends on who they are, but there's a lot of new sellers, and a lot of them don't know how to run PPC well. So it's just a lot of spend, a lot of impressions. They're not making sales, and you can probably take a lot of those sales from them.
Sounds good. Lazar, what's the best way that people can reach you?
They can find us on our website, sellersalley.com, or our Facebook, or send me an email on office@sellersalley.com.
Jelena?
The best way to reach me is through our website, contact form, amazoniappc.com.
Cool. Mina?
LinkedIn, Mina Elias, Facebook, Mina Elias, and you can email me at mina@MMAnutritionllc.com.
Cool. Guys, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Hope you all have a cracking Q4. Guys, I'll be back here at 4 p.m. BST tomorrow with Steve Simonson. Take care. Enjoy the weather if it's sunny where you are, and I'll see you again tomorrow.